What's going on, everybody? This video here is going to be a time lapse of a couple different creature concepts I just sketched up on my iPad in Procreate. For this first design here, you can see that I have a few different animals that I'll be using as references. We got a tiger, an elk, and one of my favorite snakes, the African bush viper. For this first concept, I didn't really want to create a creature that was necessarily just an animal, but rather a sort of forest spirit or deity kind of thing. If I wanted it to be more practical, then I would have had the front legs be more tiger-like, since predatory animals like big cats use their claws to help bring down their prey, and obviously hooved animals like your elk here are herbivores. But since my main goal was to create something that looked very mystical, I wanted to keep those elk-like legs and body type. The viper was something that I wanted to reference more for just its insanely beautiful color palette, but I did end up incorporating a little bit of those awesome snake scales into certain parts of this animal's body, like with its face and lower limbs. I think that just helps add a little bit more of a fantastical element to it, so it enhances that sense that it's isn't just some typical animal. I'm also thinking about maybe doing some live streams on the channel here where maybe I'll have the viewers choose like 3 different animals for me to combine together like this into some cool or original creature concepts. Or maybe I'll put out like some polls on my channel and let y'all vote on the animal combinations beforehand and do it that way. I'm not totally sure yet, so like let me know in the comments down below what y'all think, how I should go about doing it. I definitely feel like people would prefer to see me come up with original creatures over just doing fan art of monsters from already established franchises. And getting y'all to engage and participate with what I come up with could help take some of the brainstorming off my plate. But anyways, let's get back to this design here. So I have the basic sketch finished, and now I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit cleaner line work. At first I was going to go with the ink pen tool for all of the line art, but I wanted to retain some of that sketchy quality, so I ended up going right back to using just the pencil tool. When it comes to concept art in particular, I just always like to keep a little bit of that rough kind of feel to it. But you'll see in my second design after this one that I end up going with a different, more stylized kind of approach versus this one here, where I really try to keep the realism with the details and the proportions and such. My favorite part of this concept was definitely doing the colors for it. Coming up with original creatures using big cats as a starting point is super common, so I feel like it really helps my design stand out by using the pinks and purples and yellows of the bush viper. It honestly kind of gives it this sunset sort of feel to it, which I love. I was also thinking about maybe adding some sort of glowing markings or sigils on the antlers to express even more so that this is more of a mythical creature, but I didn't want to overdo it, so I just ended up leaving them as is. Other than that, I don't really have too much else to say about this creature concept, so I'll just let the rest of this time lapse play out here, and then once the drawing is finished, I'll be back to wrap it up, and then we can move on to the next design in the video. So here we have the finished concept art. I threw together a quick little background to just further exemplify that it dwells deep in the forest. I also didn't do any sort of shading because all I was wanting to do here was just get my point across with this design, and also I didn't want the shadows to unsaturate the color palette at all with the concept. So with this one out of the way, let's move on to my next design. Okay, so full disclosure on this one, I didn't use any sort of animal references or try to make some super unique creature. This one is literally just me being super generic and unoriginal. I wasn't trying to do anything special. Sometimes I just like to make creatures that look cool to me. I'll be completely honest, I'm not one of those super artsy-fartsy kind of artists who think that their work always needs to be some deep and meaningful expression of emotion and blah blah blah, you know? I have a little bit of that in me, but at my core, I'm just a bro. My philosophy when it comes to art is very simple. Does the drawing look cool? That's all I ever try to get across in my work. And with this dude here, that's all I was trying to do. No super elaborate backstory or unique combination of varying animals, just a bulky, primal looking beast. I mean, I basically took elements from a few different big cats. The tail and mane are very lion-like, the thick fur and color palette is inspired from tigers, and then the muscular build and short snout and fangs are saber-tooth inspired. Then I just threw on some cool looking demon style horns because it's badass, as simple as that. I wanted it to look not necessarily like some demonic tiger or anything like that, but rather an animal that dwells in harsh, arid, mountainous landscapes. I kind of pictured an environment like somewhere out west in the US, similar to like Utah, with these large rocky red mountains and plateaus. And I decided we could dub this guy's species as hellcats. And the males of the species would have these large horns as a display for mating purposes. And even though this concept is way less original than my previous one, I honestly like it more. I can't help it. Let me know in the comments down below which creature concept you prefer. And just like the previous design, I threw together a little background to represent its environment, and voila, we have the finished concept of the Hellcat. Do me a solid, if you liked the vid, be sure to hit that like button. And also, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all the content I put out on the channel. I'll definitely be doing more of these in the future. But that's it for this one. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.